Okay guys, so what I'm making today is a holder to hold plaques. Like these little DIY plaques that you can change out for all the different holidays. The plaque comes out, and then it has the little pieces here. Just some little things. I mean, these are so versatile. You can make them in so many different colors, styles. Just a cute little plaque holder for your DIY plaques. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm starting out with two of these planks. These were from the Dollar Tree, and they are, I'm not sure, I will get the measurements for you and put them in the video here. So I took the planks and I'm taking some beads. You can use any beads you want. I'm using these little oblong black beads. I took these apart from a piece that went on a chair, I guess, for your back. Took them all apart, and that's what I'm using. But you can use any beads. The one I showed you previously, I made with these beads I got from Michael's. They were in the kids section, pretty inexpensive. We're going to paint them anyway. Or you could just, use regular beads. Choice is yours. Like I said, it's very versatile and very easy to add your own touch. So all I'm doing so far is I've glued the beads around the board. And I'm using super glue, wood glue from the Dollar Tree. And I am just putting some glue on the bead. Putting a little dab of hot glue for an instant hold. And I am just following along. If these aren't perfect, that is absolutely fine. Because for this particular plaque holder, I'm going to try a new technique, which you can try yourself if you'd like, or you can stop at any point. All right. So I am going to get a new glue stick and continue putting the beads on. So I'm going to make sure you can see what I'm doing and how I am doing it. I'll do one more, and then I will finish it off camera and show you what it looks like when this part is all done. So, all right guys, I am going to finish this up and I'll be back when I have them all on. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, I have all of my beads glued around my board. And let me go ahead and measure the board here so I can give you the measurement of it. It is 12 inches by, looks like 3¼ inches. And like I said, these came from the Dollar Tree. They're not very thick at all, but I suppose you could use any type of wood you wanted to. That's just the size of these particular boards. Alright, so I have the beads all on here, and they're not by any means perfect, as you can see, and that really doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do next is put some glue around here. I am using wood glue and a couple dabs of hot glue for instant hold. You probably could use just the hot glue, but I like to make sure things are going to actually stay put. I'm going to leave that one empty so I can put some hot glue on it. So I'm doing wood glue on about every 5 beads. Leave one for some hot glue so we can get an instant hold. And like I said, this does not have to be anywhere near perfect. It's going to squish everywhere. But for the technique I'm using for this particular plaque holder, it's not gonna matter. I guess if you weren't gonna do anything extra and just paint it, you might want to be a little less liberal with the glue. Here I'm forgetting to leave my beads open for the hot glue. That's what happens. Sometimes I just can't walk and talk at the same time. But anyway, let me just continue here. Just, like I said, nowhere near perfect. But it's all good. All right. Some of my glue is seeping down in the holes. All right. So I'm going to take the hot glue and just add a little bit onto these that I don't have any wood glue on, just to give it an instant hold. All right. Then I take the other board and I line it up as best I can here on top. I think that's good, and press it down and hold it for a few seconds just to get that instant hold with the hot glue. Okay. And what I'm going to do is set something on top of it. I'm going to use some chalk paint and the tape measure here. Just want to give it some pressure so it can adhere very well. All right, I'm going to let that dry for about a half an hour and I will be back. Okay guys, I'm back. These have been drying for probably about 45 minutes now. So I'm going to move those and just check. And yep, they have a nice hold. Everything looks pretty good there. Okay, so at this point, if you wanted to, you could just paint this. Paint the beads, paint this. Add some feet on the bottom, which is what I'm going to do eventually. So, but for my next technique, I want to show you what I'm planning on doing. All right, so I'm going to take some chalk paint. And what I do, little tip, is chalk paint is not anywhere near cheap. So I always just buy white. This is the Waverly white. Let me get that into focus there. Waverly white chalk paint. And I go ahead and put my paint down. And then depending on whatever color I want to use, which I didn't grab that, so give me 1 second to grab my other paint. And I want to do this in like a light brown. So, let me shake it up here. I am just using, this one is acrylic paint by Craftsmart called Golden Brown. So, whatever color you really want your chalk paint to be. And of course, I grabbed one that wasn't open. So, sorry, give me just a second here to get it open. And any other time it'll open right up. I'll just take the lid off. Anyway, what I do is I put a little bit of acrylic paint in with my chalk paint and I mix it so I can just kind of, you can make whatever color you want this way. That way you're only buying one chalk paint. And that's not anywhere near the color I want it to be. So anyway, that's what I do. I kind of just tint or color my own white chalk paint until I get the color I want. And for me, it just saves me some money not having to buy every color under the sun of chalk paint. And sometimes, you know, you may not get the desired color you want. And I guess you could just buy the chalk paint. But for me, this works. So that's what I wanted. I wanted a cream color for this stand, and I have the cream color. And then what I'm going to do is add some coffee grinds. These are used coffee grinds from my coffee pot that I laid on a cookie sheet and dried out. And I'm going to add them to my paint. Just a couple teaspoons to start to see what we get. And then I mix it in there. So I'm looking almost for a paste consistency. So I just want to get that mixed in there. I saw people do this on YouTube with sand. And I don't have any sand, so I'm going to use coffee grinds and see what happens. Alright, so now we have a very, very pasty consistency, if you can see that. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on my beads. Just kind of might be easier to use my finger. So I'm just going to pack it in there and make a huge mess while I'm at it. As you can see what I'm doing, I am putting it on pretty thick because I want to get it in between all those. And I apologize if you hear a saw. My husband is outside cutting some wood for me for another project. And if you do hear that, I apologize. Anyway, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Some of the beads I didn't get a whole lot, didn't sit right next to each other. I'm just putting extra in there. So what I'm looking for is the texture, and it's also filling in. And then I just kind of run my finger down the ends there and see. And so I'm going to keep going around, and then I'm going to come back and fill in any spots where maybe some fell out or it still needs a little bit more. I guess realistically I didn't have to color my paint yet because this is just the filler. I could have just not put any color paint in there until I was ready to do the top coat, but I already did it, so, and I gave you the tip. Alright, so I'm going to keep rolling around with this. I really hope this ends up turning out like I'm envisioning it. And it looks like I may need to make some more. Alright, I'm going to set this down and pause the video and keep going, and I'll come back when I have it all covered. Okay, this is all dry now, so what I am going to do is take my little sanding block here that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to lightly run it on the bottom of the wood to get any of the pieces that might have stuck. And if there's any big chunks along here that you might want to sand down a little bit, maybe a little bit too much texture, that's fine there. I'm just getting that off of there. Not too much to get off there. All right. Give it a good shake. And clean off the table a bit. All right. Then I'm going to take a side. It doesn't matter which side you use. And I got 6 of the little tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree. They come in this little package there. And I took 6 and I'm gluing them together like this, 3 of these. I did one and I'll do the other one on camera. So I'm just taking a little dot of the super glue wood glue from Dollar Tree and putting a little on one side and a little dab of the hot glue on the other side for the instant hold, and then push them together so they're even, and just hold them there for a sec so they get that instant hold. And then I flip it over to make sure everything's lined up and there's no glue hanging out. And the third one, same thing, little dab of glue, another little dab of hot glue, again for the instant hold. This one's going to squirt because I got a little bit too much. Hold it there for a few seconds. And wipe off the excess. That's what I like about the instant hold. You can wipe it and continue on with your project. Alright, so then you take the 2 pieces of the 3 towering blocks and center it. You can use a ruler if you'd like. I'm just going to eyeball it here and try to line them up. And then what I do is I'll take a plaque, either one that's done or not done, and I'll set it in there to make sure I have enough room, which I do. So just kind of eyeball it and make sure. Then I take the blocks and I put the wood glue, a little on each end, and then a little dab of, or a little line of the hot glue for the instant hold, and put it down there in the middle. Hold it for a couple seconds so you can get that instant hold. And then I'm going to take a paper towel here and just kind of wipe up some of that excessive wood glue that came out. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other side, or the other 3 pieces. Little thing of hot glue, and then just match that up. And hold it down for a few seconds to get that nice grab. Okay, and again I'm going to take a plaque. Any plaque will do, just to make sure it fits, which it does. Got a little glue seepage right there. Alright, looks good. Alright, my next step is I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to take I'm using the same beads for the feet. You can use any kind of bead or metal foot that you want. And I'm going to place the glue, wood glue, little dab of the hot glue. And I'm going to place one in each corner there. Hold it. And I'm just eyeballing mine again, trying to get them as even as I can. I'm going to flip mine over. some little bit of a glue seepage here. I'm going to wipe that up. And then I'm going to flip it back over and let it dry on itself there. Maybe I'll put a couple things on it again. I'm going to let that dry for about a half hour, and then we'll be ready to paint. Alright guys, we'll be back when it dries. Okay, this I believe is going to be dry, so we can go ahead and finish it up. Alright, so we have our bead feet on the bottom and our plaque holders at the top. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and paint this up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add some chalk paint. Sorry if you hear my dog barking. There must be somebody outside. I'm going to add a little bit of the golden brown into my chalk paint. So hopefully I can get the color that I want. I'm looking for a nice little darker than cream color. There we go. Not sure if you can really see the color on camera, but it's a nice creamy ivory color. So I don't want a white on this particular project. Alright, let me move some stuff here. And I'm going to start at the bottom just because I have the feet that I can set it down to dry, and then I'll do the last of the feet when everything else is painted. So I'm just going to give it a nice coat. I'm going to not do the feet yet, or maybe the sides of the feet, but not the bottom, because that's going to be last. And I really apologize for the barking dog. Alright, so just getting around the beads here. Or the feet, the bead feet. I'll probably end up giving this 2 coats, but I might not, because I plan to do a little distressing on it, so I might not need to. We'll see. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and give this a paint over the textured part. It is soaking up quite a bit of paint here, so just be aware of that. I'm just going to kind of I don't know, poke it in or dab it on. Let's see, a little better than trying to stroke it on, I think. In the spots that we missed some of the texturing, you can kind of dab some paint into those spots and hopefully it'll fill in, and then I just rub the brush down it again. And I'm going to get paint on my hands because I do have to touch the bottom. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and dab it onto the side here. And getting the corners real good. And make sure you get the wood also. Here. Like I said, this is a new little experiment I'm trying, so we will see how it comes out. Alright guys, I'm going to pause this for just a minute and go quiet these dogs up. I will be right back. Alright, I'm back, hoping they are quieting down. Note I said hoping. My dogs seem to have a mind of their own. So I'm just going to kind of dab in some of these spots here, hoping that the paint can fill it in. Okay. We'll do a little dabbing here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get some of the paint that splashed onto the bottom down here, or dripped. Okay, I'm going to turn it over and do the top. Trying to get these plaque holders inside and out. In the ends. Maybe I should have painted these before I put them on. But this little sponge brush seems to be going in there just fine. Yeah, it's fitting perfect. Getting the ends. All right. There's the first coat. We will let it dry and see if we need to do a second coat on there. So I'm going to set that down to dry, and I'll be back in about 10-15 minutes and see if we need to do a second coat. Okay, everything is now dry on this piece. I did go ahead and finish the legs off at the bottom, or the beads, and as you can see, it has a nice texture on there. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a little distressing, and this one will be done. I'm using Craft Smart Gray. I can get it in there for you. Craft Smart Gray. And I'm using little tiny chunky brushes from the Dollar Tree to do this step. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some gray paint, and then I'm going to dab off most of it, and I'm going to start here on the textured part and just kind of give it a light dry brushing. Giving the feet a little coat there. Okay. I know a lot of people don't do the bottoms of their projects because nobody ever really sees them. I guess I'm just a little weird there. I like to have a finished project because somebody is always gonna lift it up to look at it, and I just like to have everything completely finished. And that's just me. But you don't have to do the bottom. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I kind of left the sides of the wood, the top and bottom piece, untouched there just to kind of emphasize the texture and the beads. And then on top, just gonna lightly dry brush. I'm doing this really light-handed, so I don't want to overpower it with the gray. I just want a little accent on it. And then I'm going to kind of come up around the sides, just on the edges a little bit, just to give it a little more of a distressed look. Okay, and there we have it. So we have this plaque stand. Hope you can see the light distressing of it, and look how the texture came out. I think that's absolutely gorgeous. The camera really does not do it justice. So we have that one with the texture, and we have the one that I did originally here without the texture. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and hopefully you'll be making your own plaque stands. Alright, have a good one.